You know what's funny? A lot of us are like freaking psychopaths when it comes to social media and the currency that rules it all, which is attention. Last week, for example, I got so wrapped up in the whole Elon Musk X drama that I was spending hours upon hours every single day glued to my phone just refreshing my feed to see the latest news, even though deep down, I knew that I should probably be focusing on creating new content rather than consuming other people's content. But I couldn't help myself because I was curious to see what was going to happen next, and I'm not the only one. The more problematic and erratic Elon Musk became, the more we were drawn into his madness. And I can build trust with our audience simply by sharing a story about our lives. When you share a story about something you're passionate about or a cause you believe in, you create an emotional connection with your audience that makes them more likely to trust you and ultimately more likely to buy whatever it is you're reselling. The same goes for brands. When brands take a stand for something they believe in and do so in an authentic way, they create an emotional connection with their audience that makes them more likely to trust the brand and ultimately more likely to buy their products. One of the most authentic voices in the social media space, without a doubt, belongs to Gary Vee. He doesn't pretend to be anything other than himself. He doesn't try to hide his personality. He just lets it all hang out. And as a result, he's built one of the most loyal followings on the planet. You don't have to be 100% authentic all the time. In fact, I don't think that's even possible. I think it's okay to have different personas on social media. I think it's okay to experiment with different styles and voices. Just as long as you're being true to who you are at the core, that's what matters most. People love Gary Vee because he's real, he's honest, he's vulnerable. You will be able to create an emotional connection with them that leads to sales and ultimately success. Again, I'm not promising that everything is going to be unicorns and rainbows. I'm not promising that you're going to get rich overnight. What I am promising is that if you stick to your guns and you never ever give up on being yourself, you will eventually find success. It may not happen right away. It may take some time, but if you stick with it, I promise you, it will pay off. So please, please never stop being yourself. The world needs more authenticity, and it needs more people like you. So my question for you is this: what are you waiting for? Are you gone? Nah, keep playing it safe and trying to be someone you not or are you gone? Nah, take the risk. Be yourself and see where it takes you. Because if you ask me, the choice is obvious. The risk is worth it. Being authentic is the best way to live, and it's also the best way to do business. And he's not afraid to share his true self with the world. And because of that, people trust him. They trust his opinion, they trust his advice. And most importantly, they trust his taste. Gary Vee knows what people want before people even know what they want themselves. And it's because he's so attuned with his true self that he's able to bring that same level of authenticity to his work. This is why authenticity is the new currency of social media. He's one of the most successful tech YouTubers out there, and he's not afraid to show his face. Of course, it's not always easy. Sometimes it takes time for people to warm up to you. Sometimes you have to put yourself out there and take some risks. But if you're willing to do that, I promise you, it will pay off. He doesn't try to hide behind a logo or a mascot. He lets the world see him, flaws and all. And because of that, he's built a massive following of loyal fans. They love Mr. Who's the Boss because he's relatable. He's not perfect, he makes mistakes, but he's honest about them. He owns up to them, and he tries to make things right. And because of that, people trust him. They trust his opinion, they trust his advice, and most importantly, they trust his taste. Mr. Who's the Boss knows what people want, before people even know what they want themselves, and it's because he's so attuned with his true self that he's able to bring that same level of authenticity to his work. It's the key to unlocking trust, which is what leads to sales, which is what leads to success. Our audience doesn't care about fancy editing, slick graphics, or a perfectly curated feed. They care about connecting with us on a human level, and the best way for us to do that is by being authentic, by showing our audience who we really are. It was like a car crash that we couldn't look away from. But why? Why did we find ourselves glued to our phones, watching the richest man in the world act like an impulsive and sometimes downright evil toddler? If you want to succeed on social media, if you want to make money, if you want to make a difference, then you need to be authentic. You need to show the world who you really are. I know it's scary, I know it's hard, but trust me, it's worth it. And the best part is that once you start being authentic, once you start sharing your story, the rest will come easy. You won't have to worry about coming up with new ideas or finding the perfect hashtag. It will all come naturally. You'll be so focused on sharing your story that you uneven realize that you're recreating amazing content. To put it simply, it was because he was being authentic. Who will try to tell you to put on a persona? Who will try to tell you that authenticity doesn't work? Don't listen to them. I promise you, authenticity works. It may not seem like it at first, but trust me, it does. And the best part is that it's free. You don't have to pay for followers. You don't have to buy engagement. You don't have to do any of that. All you have to do is be yourself. It was because he was acting in accordance with his true self, no matter how much of a sociopath that turned out to be. We admire authenticity. We admire it in other people. We admire it in brands, and most importantly, we admire it in influencers. Authenticity has now become the new currency of social media. In fact, if there's one thing that I've learned throughout my entire career in social media, it's that authenticity is by far the most valuable asset that any influencer or brand can have. More than follower count, more than engagement rate, more than views, more than reach, more than subscribers. None of that matters if you can't bring authenticity to the table. Let me explain what I mean by that. Now, before I go any further, let me just address this elephant in the room. What the heck does authenticity even mean? Well, according to Cambridge Dictionary, authenticity is the quality of being genuine, not copied or artificial. So basically, authenticity means being yourself, the real you, not some fake version of yourself that you think your audience wants you to be. That's the key. Now, I know that sounds easier said than done, but I promise you, it's possible and it's definitely worth the effort because the benefits are endless. I mean, think about it. Brands spend hundreds of thousands, if not millions of dollars, to create the perfect ad campaign. You see, people don't buy products, they buy feelings. So here's my challenge to you. Of course, I do want to make this video sound like everything in life is unicorns and rainbows, because the truth is that there are still plenty of people out there who will try to tell you to be fake. Let me give you an example of what I mean. Another great example is Mr. Who's the Boss. Now, I'm sure you've heard of him. The list goes on and on. There are countless examples of influencers and brands who have built successful businesses by simply being authentic. And here's the best part. If you can do that, you will be able to build trust with your audience. So thank you for watching this video. Thank you for listening, and I'll see you in the next one.